If you don't do everything in this iOS 14 course, things are not going to track properly and you're going to be at a disadvantage over competitors who have this set up. Thankfully, everything in here is step-by-step, easy to follow. Leave a comment if you get lost. To make it easier for you, I created a checklist document which you can find in the description.
So what is this iOS 14 update from Apple and why is it so important for Facebook ads? Well, when people do their update, Apple is going to ask them the next time they open Facebook if they want to allow Facebook to track their activities across other websites. And they'll have two options, either ask app not to track or allow. And I think a lot of people are going to ask it not to track. People on desktop, people who allowed it to track, are still going to be able to see those retargeting ads. So those audiences are just going to be a little bit smaller because they're not going to include people who opted out of being tracked. But they're still really profitable and really important. Especially on the video side, if you're sending people from Facebook to your website to watch different videos, you may want to actually test out hosting that video in full in your Facebook ads, and then you can add the people who really engaged with it, liked it, commented on it, or watched a lot of it into a retargeting audience who's going to be a lot more interested in buying. Technically, someone giving you their email and becoming a customer gives you some level of permission to email them in the future, but I actually recommend on the checkout having people check a box to opt in to receive future deals, future emails, future promos. That way they're going to be more engaged and more excited about actually receiving those offers. Sending emails can be insanely profitable, and we want to rely on Facebook less and less to reach our existing customers and clients. It's especially important now to create ads that are engaging and very shareable, which leads to a lot more shares, likes, and comments. And you can go through and invite all of those people to like the page. That way they'll continue to see your different posts. You can build that relationship with them, and you can add them to a retargeting audience of people who have engaged with the page or liked the page. I've actually turned off all my automations. My automations adjust, so based on the performance of the day, it will scale it up or pause it. I'm doing that a lot more manually and actually comparing it with the sales data from the website itself so that I can kind of know, hey, okay, sales are doing pretty well today. I am going to turn all the ads up a little bit, or hey, I'm getting full data on this one ad set. I'm really going to crank the budget of that one. I'm also looking at a lot of historical data. So if I see a campaign has been running for 5 months and it's done really, really well for the entire 5 months, I am going to be less likely to pause that or turn it down if I'm not getting the proper data to know how well it's doing, because I know it has been a strong performer in the past. And especially comparing it to the overall website sales, if sales are good for the day, I'm going to leave it the same or even turn up the spend of the ones that historically have done really well. If you still want really good data of how many people from Facebook are actually making it through the checkout process, what you can do is actually create a separate checkout on your website that only people from Facebook are being sent to. So then you can actually look at the different page views on like Google Analytics and actually know, okay, the people who clicked on that, this is how many actually landed on this page, because it's only people from Facebook. If you're sending people from Facebook to the general website and then tracking page views, that will include a lot of people Googling your business or coming from organic social media. The first big change is the attribution window. You'll no longer be able to do 28-day click or 28-day view. Now, it's now going down to 7 days, so you won't actually be able to track for longer than 1 week. So if someone clicks on an ad, buys it 10 days later, it's not going to show up under your ad account. Now, obviously, you still made the sale, and that money will still end up in your bank account. So the default now is 7-day click and 1-day view. So if someone clicks on your ad, for the next week, it's going to track if they make a purchase and give it credit, or if they just saw your ad for the next 1 day, if they later on go to the website and make a purchase, it will give that ad credit. This isn't only for people who opted out of tracking. This is actually going to be for your whole ad account. It's only going to track for the 7 days. You'll definitely want to use Google Analytics quite a bit going forward because it has such good data on how many people are visiting each page, how long they're spending on each page, and you can actually compare and contrast the data you're getting through Facebook with the data you're seeing in Google Analytics. If you do need to set up Google Analytics, I have a tutorial on setting that up. With iOS 14, you're now limited to 8 different events that you can track per domain. So events are things like view content, page view, add to cart, purchase, lead, things like that. So you actually want to make a list of the 8 ones that you'd really like to track going forward. I haven't found this super restrictive, but it is important to think about this in advance. I believe the people who will be hit the hardest by this are people who are running Facebook ads to apps and want to track the different behaviors on the app, because you can use deep linking to track like purchases or different behaviors on the app itself. However, to my knowledge, you're not able to actually track the deep linking for people who opt out. I've heard a number of ads managers say it's more important than ever under iOS 14 to actually verify your business with Facebook. It's important to do in general, so if you've already verified, you can skip to this time code up there. Otherwise, keep watching. I'll show you step by step how to set that up. So you'll just go to Business Info, and you'll want to set your primary page. Click Save. And then also fill out the business details. And then business verification status, we can go to view details. You could set up 2-factor authentication. This is usually recommended for security. And for some people it'll be blue, other people it will be grayed out. So I wanted to show you how to fix that. So sometimes it can be grayed out because you haven't filled out your profile enough. Once you fill all this out, it should be blue. If it's still showing gray, you'll want to go to Apps and just create a new app ID to manage business integrations. You will only do this if your verified business is still grayed out, and I'm not actually fully setting up the app. I'm just clicking next on the first couple prompts, which will put an app into our business settings, which should make that error go away. That's what you do, and you can see now we can start the verification. So you'll fill out all of your details, and then you'll have it. I think the easiest is to text your phone and then enter in the info.
Has Apple killed off Facebook ad retargeting? Be sure to stick around into the end. I actually figured out a secret strategy to retarget people who've opted out of being tracked. Before we jump into that though, it's important that you understand what exactly is happening with retargeting with iOS 14. So here's how things used to work for every single user. You'd place a thing called a Facebook pixel on your website, and this would allow you to both track and optimize for all sorts of behaviors. So this could be visiting specific pages, spending a lot of time on the website, adding something to the cart, initiating checkout, all of that. So what you could do is take all that data and then make custom audiences to show ads to. So you could show ads just to people who added something to their cart or visited a specific page. You could also create lookalike audiences, so find people who are very, very similar to those that took those specific actions. The pixel was also fairly accurate at tracking those different behaviors and optimizing for them. So if you had people click on an ad and then make a purchase, it would get better and better at finding other similar people who would also make a purchase. So on Apple iOS devices, people can now opt out of being tracked, and this is coming to Android devices as well, and may impact like 80% of the platform, which is insane. So how does opting out impact retargeting? Well, for people who've opted out, you still put that pixel on your website, and it still gathers that initial data and can optimize your campaign because it is still tracking like purchases and things like that. It's not nearly as accurate as it used to be, and I've noticed it can have trouble optimizing, but it is gathering that data. But it can't pass it back to Facebook, so you cannot make any custom audiences based off that. They won't be included in any audiences that are related to that pixel, including audiences of people who visited a specific page, as well as lookalike audiences and anything website related. Part of the reason this is such a big deal is people very rarely buy the first time they see an ad. They'll likely click on the ad, and then a few days will go by. Maybe they'll go back, add it to the cart. It's usually a sales cycle that's like 2 days to 30 days, or sometimes even longer. So someone could click on your ad, almost finish checkout, but because they've opted out of tracking, they're not gonna get added to any retargeting audiences, and they likely won't see your ad again. That is, unless you're using my secret strategy for retargeting people who've opted out. Let's jump into that now, and then I'll cover every useful retargeting audience you should be using in iOS 14. So we're gonna show them a series of 3 videos. And for the first video, we're only gonna show this video to people who on the Facebook page, it's a custom audience, have clicked a call to action button. So we're really trying to keep each call to action as a valuable website visit. Therefore, you know that each website click is gonna go into this audience, but this is really a part of the Facebook behavior, so you can actually use this to retarget people who have opted out. And we're going to exclude our website visitors because I have a separate retargeting campaign specifically for website visitors and add to cart and for people who actually we can track. So the only people in this audience are people who clicked a link to the website and then are not being tracked as a website visitor. So you can do a series like this on general website sales or brand, or you can do it for specific different products where you kind of lead people down a line based off a specific product if they keep watching the videos. So the only people who will receive the second video are people who watched half of the first video. So the first video only had people who weren't being tracked as website visitors but did click a link. And then people who watched more than half of that will get shown the second video. And then I am excluding people who've watched any of the third video because people who watched the third video will have seen half of the second video. So we want to actually move them along in line. So you can do this with as many videos as you want and as many products as you want. Yeah, just people who watched half of video 2. And it's important for the first 2 to be videos because then you can do 50% video views, where this one can be photos and things like that, and it can be multiple ads. So this is just for one product, but you could easily build this out where you have the sequence going for like 5 products, 6 different products, bust every objection, feature new testimonials, only for people who clicked a link, weren't tracked, and continue to watch videos on that subject. There is actually a kind of complex way to only show ads to people who opted out of tracking and clicked a link, and then show an additional ad to people who clicked a link again. And the way that's set up, basically what you do is show ads to people who clicked a link 2 days ago and exclude people who clicked a link 1 day ago. So they click on a link, 1 day goes by, then they're shown this video ad and you exclude people who did the website visits. And the reason you want to set it up like that is then in the next one, what you can do is only show the ads to people who clicked 1 day ago. So they would have had to have clicked again. So they had to have seen the video and then clicked in the last day. So they saw the video that we showed to people who'd clicked 2 days ago, and then they clicked again and they're gonna receive this special offer or video or photo or things like that. And then we're gonna exclude people in the 2 to 30 day window just so it's not complex with them like bouncing back and forth between the different videos and things like that. So if someone's seen this one, you know they've opted out of tracking, watched video 1, even just a couple seconds, but then done a second click showing additional interest. So briefly, let's look at exactly what retargeting is allowed and what is not. So anything here, this is for targeting new people. You can do all this detailed targeting, location, age, things like that. It's when we get into the custom audiences where we have issues. So you're gonna run into issues if you're trying to retarget people who are visiting the website or doing specific behavior on the app or offline activity that is tracking, because this is off of the Facebook platform, so you can't actually retarget people who, let's say, took a specific action on your website. You can do like a customer list or an email list where you can actually manually update that because it's your data and you're just connecting that person to the profile. There's actually some email platforms and e-commerce platforms where it's integrated with Facebook and able to pass that data between the two. This would achieve more or less the same thing as you uploading your customer list and your email list to the platform consistently. If you can include a conversion value in your customer list, this will really help you for creating audiences and building out lookalikes.
Facebook sources, so you can use all of these, which is really amazing. The ones I use most commonly is video, Instagram account, and Facebook page. So you can still retarget people who watch specific videos, either ones you posted organically on your page or videos you ran as an ad. I usually want people to watch at least 25 to 30 seconds. So if it's a shorter video, I'll usually do 95%. If it's a longer one, I'll do like 50 or occasionally 25. So you can create that audience, and if the video is on a specific topic or about a specific product, you can kind of retarget people with other things related to that product. I found the leads on Facebook to be low quality, but you can retarget people from the lead forms. I do think the shopping experience is going to move more and more on the Facebook platforms, where people aren't going to need to leave and can actually check out on Facebook. And that'll be a big way that they work around this tracking issue. With Instagram, you can still retarget people who engaged with any post, engaged with any ad, visited the account. So that's still a really valuable retargeting audience. And as we were using before, I love that Facebook specifically has people who clicked a call to action, because if you make all your call to actions the website, that means this person is very, very valuable. Let's jump right into verifying your domain, which you have to do with iOS 14. You'll start by going to business.facebook.com and make sure you have the right business manager. If you're just regularly on Facebook, you can go to ads or business manager to get to the same point. So we're going to click the little gear in the corner. Now you will have to have set it up with business manager. So if you haven't, I'll have a card pop up on how to do that. We're going to go down to brand safety and then domains. So then you'll have the option to add a domain. You don't need www. Or anything like that. I actually purchased this domain just for this tutorial. So we'll click add. Whenever possible, you want your own domain, so jacoble.com rather than jacoble.myshopify.com. This builds trust with customers, but Facebook also likes it significantly more. Now you're given a couple of options. Now I definitely prefer updating the DNS TXT on every platform, but especially on Shopify. I know it sounds complex, but I'll explain it in a second. But I am going to provide exact instructions for using it in the meta tag. With meta tag, you're adding code to your site, and on Shopify, you're adding that code to your theme, which could create issues when you switch themes later on. To do DNS, there's 3 steps you need to take. You need to log in to whoever you bought your domain with, find DNS records, and then paste whatever we copy from this clipboard. So let me copy this to the clipboard. I'm gonna save it just in text edit to make it easier to access later. And for Shopify, if I bought it through Shopify, I can just go to online store, then to domains. And since I bought this one through Shopify, I can simply click on it, and here's DNS settings. And when we're under there, we're gonna add a TXT record. Just leave this at, and then I'm gonna paste what I just copied and click confirm. And that's all set. You may be using a separate service like GoDaddy or Namecheap. In this example, I have this domain for Namecheap. I can just go to manage, and right away I see DNS, and I'm looking to add a record. So I can click add new record. Again, go to TXT. For if it says host, just do @ We'd paste whatever we copied. And if it says TTL, you can just leave that as it is. Final example is WPX. If you go under manage service, right there, you'll see edit DNS. That's what we're looking for. We can choose our domain and then add a new record. Make sure it's a TXT. Again, do @ paste, and just leave this blank. Be sure you save the record as well. Going back to Facebook, if you were able to follow along, it can take up to 72 hours for it to recognize it. I have found sometimes it takes 24. You can try verifying the domain. Okay, that happened pretty quick for me. Did you know liking the video helps it reach other people? So if this was helpful to you, I'd really love for you to give it a little tap.
If you weren't able to do it in my preferred method of DNS, I want to show you how to do it as a meta tag on Shopify and WordPress. Let me start with Shopify. We're going to copy this bit of text. Then we're going to go to our clipboard. I'm just going to paste that so I can access it later. Now on Shopify, we'll go to Online Store. And then under the theme, we're actually going to add it to the theme. So you'll want to think about this if you switch themes, make sure it's still in the code of the new one. Go to Edit Code, and then you'll go to theme.liquid. So now we need to paste this just somewhere in the head section. I'll usually do right before the end. Put it at the start. Make sure you save it. Now you can go back to Business Manager and make sure you verify the domain. For WordPress, I still recommend DNS, but if that's not working or confusing, you can go to Add a Meta Tag, and then just copy this meta tag to your clipboard. I'm gonna save it here as well to make it easier to access later. Then I'm gonna go into the WordPress dashboard and go to Plugins, go to Add New, and the one I like is called Head, Footer, and Post Injections. If you just do head footer, it should come up. Head, footer, and post injections. You can do install now and then activate. I already have it on mine. And once it's installed, if you go to settings and then header and footer, now you can add this to your head section. Now you can actually see it says just to put it on the home page, not every single page of the website. So we're actually going to go to only on the home page, and you can just paste it right in there and make sure you save it. It can take up to 72 hours for it to take effect. Let's see if it worked. Okay, it did verify it pretty quickly. Did you know liking the video helps it reach other people? So if this was helpful to you, I'd really love for you to give it a little tap. Let's jump right into aggregated events measurement. With iOS 14, you must do this in order for things to track properly. If you don't set it up correctly, you could have 100 purchases come in and have it show 0 purchases. In order to complete this tutorial, you do need to have installed a pixel and have set up events. If you haven't done this in the pinned comment, I'll have the exact tutorials for how to do that, then come right back here. Start by going to business.facebook.com. Make sure you have the right business manager. Go to All Tools, and then Events Manager. So we are going to go down to Aggregated Event Measurement right here. And then we'll do Configure Web Events. So we'll do Manage Events. Unfortunately, it can take up to 72 hours for these changes to take effect, and it can pause your campaigns that are using these events with your pixel. That's unfortunate, but try to plan accordingly. We're gonna add the events, and you can see that we can have up to 8. Although if you're doing purchases and you turn on value optimization, which I highly recommend, that will use up 4 of your slots, so keep that in mind. So we'll add events and choose the correct pixel. And it's ideal if you've actually received that event in the last 28 days. So you may want to actually go to the website yourself and become a lead or make a purchase. That makes it easier, but you can still select things that have not occurred in the last 28 days. So I'm going to do purchase. Now, normally if you're generating sales, if you meet these criteria, which is you've generated 30 optimized purchases and have 2 different values, so people spending different amounts of money, I highly recommend that you turn on this value optimization. Turning this on will mean that Facebook can see who's making bigger purchases, and it could get better at targeting, saying, hey, these people we showed it to made huge purchases. Let's find more people just like that. This next part's crucially important because you have to set the exact priority, and Facebook is only going to track your very top priority. So before, it would track things like this, where if someone viewed content, added to cart, did a purchase, they'd show up on all of them. Well, now it would only show up on your top priority. So if you made the huge mistake of putting view content at the top, we would show probably 0 for everything else, because you're saying this is my top priority, only show results for this. And since it's the top priority, they won't show up under any of these other things. Whereas if purchase is at the top and view content is at the very bottom, now if people only view content, it'll track for that. But if they submit an application, it'll track for that all the way up, so you're actually tracking for purchases. I obviously always do purchase, then I'll do either add to cart or initiate checkout. And then if you're doing lead capture, that's important as well. View content is definitely good to have in there. And the other one will just depend a little bit on, what you're trying to optimize for and what's important for your business. Just make sure you're not using up all the slots. Once I turn on value optimizations, when I'm running ads, these will all be filled. Now click on review. And you'll want to do yes, I confirm these changes, and then click apply. Here's a bonus tip. If you want things to track better in your ads, start building URL parameters. It can be as simple as just having the campaign source as Facebook. I'm actually working on a thing where you can see the results of every single ad and ad set, but that's a little more complex. Right now, you just do campaign source Facebook, click apply. I found this to be a little bit more accurate than the pixel right now and a useful data point. So when you go into, let's say, Google Analytics, you'll actually be able to see what purchases it's attributing to ads from Facebook.
We are now going to set up Conversion API. This really helps with sending data from your website to Facebook and helps with tracking, especially with iOS 14. So we're going to cover Shopify and then jump right into WordPress. Jump to this time code if you're setting it up on WordPress.
This gives it the option to gather additional data using the server, so it doesn't replace browser events, but adds in additional server-side events.
Okay, so we're in Shopify, and you'll want to make sure you have the Facebook sales channel. If you don't have it already, you can find it and just add it right there. And we'll go into setting it up. If you've already set it up, I'll show you how to do it on the app itself. So you're gonna go to create free and paid ads on Facebook, continue setup, and just select the right ad account, the right business manager, ad account, the correct Facebook page. And under data sharing, this is where we'll select maximum, which uses the conversions API. Then we'll also want to select the pixel for that website, make sure that's correct. Finally, we can just do our target country. And that will let us finish setup, and Conversions API is good to go. If you already have the app, you can go to settings, data sharing, and then here's where you select maximum and make sure that you have the right pixel selected. So you can get there a number of ways. Usually I'll just click the first one that's connected with the business manager. And then I'll just click all tools, go to business settings, choose the right business account. All right, and then scroll down to data sources and pixels. Make sure you select the right one. Then we're gonna go to Open an Events Manager. That's where we'll set up the Conversion API. If you don't have your WordPress dashboard open, you'll wanna do that in the background because we're about to go over to WordPress. Okay, so select the pixel, then you'll go to Settings and scroll down. Here we have Conversions API. So for this one, we're gonna choose a partner integration and we'll choose WordPress. If you're using WordPress and WooCommerce, I'd suggest going to the Woocommerce integration since that's where most of your shopping is gonna be. So it'll guide you through the steps. We're about to go through those together. So I'll just show you on the platform itself what we need to do. So yeah, you go to your plugins and then go to Add New. And then search for Facebook for WordPress. And it should be the very first one that comes up. Then click Install Now. It takes a second, then click Activate. Now we're going to go into the settings. So I'll just scroll down and go to the settings right here. And we're going to do Get Started to connect the pixel. And we'll continue. Click Continue again. And then you want to make sure you select the right business manager, add account, and pixel. So let's do Belly. Select the right ad account. Then we can select the pixel we want to set it up for. Click continue. And we want to have on automatic advanced matching. And I generally will turn on all of these. Then click continue. And yeah, you want to make sure that both of those are on. Click next. If there's any other steps, click next. Mine says that I'm all set, so click done. So for me, it continued to say it's pending, but if we go back to Facebook, it may take a couple minutes, but under connected partners, it should say active once it's all set up and ready to go. Next up, we'll set it up for Woocommerce. Now from the homepage, you can do ads or business manager or anything in that business suite. And if you have Woocommerce on WordPress, I recommend setting it up for Woocommerce. So I'm gonna go here, go to business settings. Okay, so make sure you have the right account selected, then you'll go to data sources and then pixels. You'll select the pixel, then do open an events manager. All right, so make sure you have the right pixel and then go to settings. And we'll scroll down to conversions API and then do choose a partner. Then we're gonna do WooCommerce and they'll walk you through the steps. I'm gonna go through it with you in a second. So make sure you have WordPress pulled up. Now you'll go to plugins and then add new. Then you'll search Facebook for Woocommerce. It should be the first one that pops up. All right, so that one, now do install now. It may take a second, then do activate. It took a second, but now I can just scroll down and look at Facebook for Woocommerce and do configure. Now under connection, we'll just click this here and do get started. So make sure it's the right profile. If you need a different one, log into another account. Now we'll do open your shop and you will want Facebook ads, Facebook shop, and Instagram shopping. So do get started. You'll select the right business manager and do continue. And the right Facebook page and do continue. And I do recommend connecting Instagram as well. Then you'll want to select the catalog also. It's going to be passing this information and you can select which pixel you want to go with it. So do continue and just confirm that it's the right commerce account and do continue again. So you want to just double check you have the right business manager, the right Facebook page, the right Instagram profile, the right catalog, and the right commerce account and pixel. You do want automatic advanced matching. And I like having all of these turned on. Anything it can do to match things up and get good data, the better. Do continue. And you'll want all of these on as well. Then you'll choose the website domain. Then you will need to submit it for review. And then once it goes through that process, you should be all set and Conversions API should be fully connected. So I'm going back to Facebook. It does talk through the steps that we just went through. You want to wait until it's approved, maybe give it some time, and then click verify to see that it's active. Once it's verified, you have the option to set up events. I kind of like doing that separately, and I have a ton of tutorials on effectively setting up events, even with iOS 14. Next up is setting up Conversion API for Clickfunnels. So you can go over to the left side, either ads or business manager or anything that gets you to your business.facebook.com. I'm just going to select business settings. Now I'm going to go to data sources and pixels. And with the right pixel selected, we'll go to open an events manager. So we'll go to settings and then scroll down until you reach conversion API. We're actually going to do generate access token. And we will copy it to clipboard. I sometimes like to save it in like a text edit, just in case I copy anything else. Okay, so let's jump over to Clickfunnels. Jumping over to Clickfunnels, you will go to account settings. You will need your own domain. Going forward, this is gonna be pretty essential for doing Facebook ads. So if you have one already, you can add it or you can register a brand new domain. So you will need that set up. Okay, so now in Clickfunnels, you'll go to account settings and you'll scroll down to integrations. Then you'll do add new integration and then scroll down to Facebook. You can just give it a nickname. And this is optional. You can just do connect integration and you'll need to log in as yourself. Allow it to manage ads. It says you've now linked it. That's awesome. So it took a second to load. Now we'll go to our domain and we'll select the domain and click edit. And then we'll scroll down to Facebook conversion pixel. Then we'll click add integrations, what we just created, Facebook. We can select the right pixel and then you'll punch in that token that we just copied over and click save.
I recently looked at $1 million in Facebook ads data to learn if the learning phase actually matters. What I saw surprised me and really changed the way I run Facebook ads. Watch the video right over there.